Hello beautiful people of the world, I'm Abby and welcome back to my channel. I haven't posted on here since like June or July, I don't know. It's August now. It hasn't been terribly long. I think the last time I posted was June. And that's just when my schedule started picking up. I got kind of busy again, but I'm back and I want to start posting, maybe not as much as I used to, but definitely start posting more regularly. I love making YouTube videos and I never really get bored because you can pretty much do anything. The goal for this vlog is, it is August. A well-known writing challenge is NaNoWriMo in November, but it's August. It's not quite that time yet. So I was thinking like I want to do something sort of similar but for August, but I couldn't find any sort of writing challenge that entails writing a novel for August. It was mostly like journaling or reading challenges, which is fine definitely, but that's not really what I wanted to do in this vlog. So I was thinking, I have been plotting a book for the past, like, I want to say 2 months I've been plotting, which is a really long time for me to be plotting, because normally I get plotting done all in one day and everything's good. I don't know why it's taking me so long to plot and get this done. If you want to know, like, what the book is that I'm doing, if you go way back on my channel, I want to say early 2024, so last year, but early, like, April, March, maybe? March, April? I talked about how I was writing 2 novels at the time, and one of them was called Meadowbrook Springs. Meadowbrook Springs is the novel that I am now plotting, and I'm now doing. The reason why it didn't really work out then is because I always think, I've done it like 2 or 3 times, I'll start writing a novel, kind of get not bored with it, but kind of get really attached to another idea. So I'll be like, oh, I'm going to try to write both at the same time and just see what happens. It never ends well for me. Some people, it might work. For me, it does not. So I kind of just lost track of both of the novels. They kind of got lost. I took Meadowbrook Springs, I put it into like a save for later sort of folder. And I'm picking it back up now to try to rework it. And I'm going to plot, and I'm going to write. The reason why it didn't work out in March of last year, or whatever it was, is a reason that constantly, probably my biggest immaturity as far as my writing, is that when I have an idea for a book or like a piece of writing, I'll kind of think it over in my head, and I'll say the words in my head, and I'll word it in like such a beautiful flowery way that I'll think of sentences and I'll keep them for later, and then I'll write those sentences into the book. But when I'm not thinking about those things, I feel like my writing gets very monotonous in a way where it'll be like, oh, she woke up, she went to her closet, she picked out an outfit, she put it on, things like that, where it's just telling you the story, and it doesn't really feel like you're feeling anything along with it. It's kind of boring. And that's always the ideas that I always scrap, are ideas that end up getting into that sort of routine of what happens, and it's like kind of boring after a while. So I'm trying to get over that. So if you're wondering why I didn't go pick up the 6 chapters of this book that I had already written, that's why. Is because it started out as a good idea in my head. I was like, yes, this is perfect, I love this idea, I'm gonna write it. And then it ended up being like, it just didn't end up vibing with me the way that I wanted it to. So now I'm picking it up, gonna try to rework it, I'm gonna try to make it better. I love this idea still. It's been an idea in my sort of ideas note in my phone, because I have a note with all my ideas for books. It's been there since like 2020. Kind of pushed around, changed a little bit, but it's been there, and it's been part of my heart for that long that I want to keep going with it, and I want to keep doing it. So without further ado, why don't we just try to plot? I have both my computer and a notebook here. I do not plot in notebooks. Really wish I could. I have always and forever been Well, that's not true. I was gonna say I've always and forever been a computer plotter, but that is not true at all, because which it's kind of true to an extent, but my first ever novel, I plotted so much in a notebook that I filled up an entire notebook full of just ideas and my plot for my book. But for the most part, every single book I've ever written has a plot on a separate document, and it's a detailed document to make sure that I don't have any plot holes and to go back and like check things for reference. It's so much easier because with the way technology is, I know that I have those documents on me at all times. With something like a notebook, you spill water on it and half of your plot is gone, and that is not super trusting to me. But I do have a notebook here because I do think that for YouTube and when I watch plotting videos, I personally like to see notebook plotting better. And I have an idea for what I could use this notebook for. I will show you the little thing I've got going on in this notebook right now. I don't normally have anything physical for my books, but sometimes it's just fun. I've got character sheets in here, so I'll introduce you to my characters. This is June, or Juniper. Her full name is Juniper, but everybody calls her June. She is our protagonist, our main character. Also, if you guys want to know how to make these little avatars, because I see a lot of authors using them, and I see a lot of people asking, and not a lot of people give the answer. It's on Artbreeder. It's not AI. The website has AI options, which I don't particularly enjoy, but like, but the portrait maker, I use the splicer, and I look up like different features I want. So when it's like search tags, I'll search like, oh, I want curly hair, I want green eyes, things like that, and then you can splice them together and make your own characters. So this setting does not use AI, but the website unfortunately does. So that's our main character, protagonist, June Abbott. And then we've got Marley Brooks. This is the cousin of the protagonist, the main character. She lives with June, and she's kind of just like, not the side character, but like the sidekick. Like, she's always there, she's always giving her advice, she's just like the best friend, pretty much. This is Maxwell Loudy, or Max Loudy. He is the love interest, and you have to read the book in order to know the whole thing. I don't want to spoil anything, but basically when June and Marley move, he is their neighbor, but he's also both of their mom's best friend's son as well. So, yeah. And then this is Murray Schmidt, and it's hard to explain her role without spoiling some of the book. Later on in the book, closer to the end, June and Marley and Max are all going to a boarding school, and Murray is June and Marley's roommate. Me and notebooks, as far as plotting goes, have a very, complicated relationship, because I never use them, but, every book I'll attempt to, and I'll be like, oh, I'm gonna make a character sheets, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do this, and it just never happens, because it's almost like a different hobby. If I spend a lot of time on the plotting as far as that goes, it becomes like a creative thing, and I don't get any writing done. So I started just doing sort of a plot dump in my Google Docs so that I have it, and it's not interesting to look at, and it's not intriguing for me to think of it as a separate hobby, and it's so that I wouldn't rather plot than actually write the story. Something else I've seen authors do in a plotting notebook is shades based on characters, and if you don't know what I mean by that, which I kind of want to do characters and places, and not just colors, we can do I don't know, we'll figure it out as I get there. I'm thinking I think about when I write characters, and I'm like, oh, her eyes were green, and I say it constantly, or I'll choose one shade of green and I'll just go with that. I want it to be more immersive, to where it could be like, oh, her eyes were this color, and it's a specific color, it's not just green, blue, brown. I want to do things like that for this, so I kind of want to make a grid on this paper with each of the characters, and then maybe the next one will be places, and I can kind of separate it and put the shades of who they are. Do you guys like my pen? I actually used this pen to edit my entire last novel that I published and then unpublished. Except it wasn't actually exactly this pen, it was this brand. I bought like 4 packs of the same pens, but they come in all kinds of different colors. Very cute, very fun. If I didn't explain that well enough, I'm going to explain it now that I have it all set up. So, like, the page says characters in shades and adjectives, and then it's got like a place for June and a place for Marley. And then afterwards I'll put like June's eyes, and then I'll put like shades or ways to describe that. So like let's go to the places. I feel like that'll be easier. Places and shades and adjectives. If I were to do the house, instead of just saying it was an old white house, I could be like, that's a bad example because white doesn't have that many different shades, but this is what we're doing it. Ivory, that's white, right? It was an ivory house. I can't think of adjectives. This was a bad one to do. But like, you get the idea. You'll get the idea when we get there. I'll keep going. I'll keep describing it to you guys. I finished this, so I hope it makes more sense now, having like a visual sort of thing. So for June, like for her hair, I have colors like chocolate, dark brown, saddle brown, whatever. But then I also have like just adjectives like frizzy, bouncy, fluffy, stuff like that. And I did it also for places, which was a little bit different because like there's not as many colors that are specific to certain things. So it's more like adjectives. For the house, it's like classic, manicured lawn. That's not really an adjective. That's just like, you know, sun-drenched, creaky, buzzing. That's for the porch. I did like, yeah. So I hope that makes sense, easier to see it now. Now that that's done, the next thing I kind of want to do is like a plotting worksheet, just kind of like basic information, because I don't really have that on here yet. Basic information, like, I don't know, I have like a little thing right here. Don't mind my bed. I'm filming on my bed. Don't know why. I have a desk that I normally film on, but I don't feel like cleaning it off. There's jewelry all over it. But like we can do like the regular details of the book, like the title, the general plot, the theme, the setting. We can do the cast. We can do, which I already have the cast, but there are more characters that I didn't do. I didn't do like June and Marley's little siblings, and I didn't do their parents or anything like that. I could do like important information, like anything I don't want to forget. I had, for Orith, obviously I had the plot in one Google Doc, and then in another Google Doc, I had one that's like cannot forget, and it's things that I just seemed to find myself coming back to because I couldn't remember certain parts. So like titles of places, like names of like restaurants, places that they went, things like that. Things like birthdays, you think they aren't important, but they actually are important, especially with a book like this where so much time passes. Birthdays are important, your characters are going to change ages. Things like, if you mention like a distant family member, that's important, because what if you can't say that their that their aunts are this person and this person and this person, and then later on say that they are other people. Like, the names of characters that don't really matter too much to the plot, I put them all in a separate document, but for now I'll put them in this notebook. Just a brief description of like the plot, as far as this book is a romance, but it doesn't really have a set end to the plot. Like, it could keep going. So there are a bunch of little tiny plots that make it up into what it is. So like things like that. I think there are a few separate things that I kind of need to flesh out in there. And then I can do like beginning, middle, end, what I'm going to accomplish, things like that. I'm going to put that into this notebook and I'll come and check back with you. The lighting somehow got worse. I finished what I'm doing. I'll read some of it to you, and then I'll move on to what I was thinking of doing next. So the general plot: June and her family move to Meadowbrook Springs and become neighbors with the Loudy family. June falls in love with Max. Also, this says Meadowbrook Springs at the top. I did it in a purple pen. Thought I would switch it up a little bit. Theme: coming of age. Setting: Meadowbrook Springs, New York. Meadowbrook Springs is not a real place in New York. If y'all don't know that, I made that up. It's just in New York. It's like 3 hours away from the city or something. I can't remember. I wrote it in my plot in my computer. The cast, we already went through that. The people I didn't tell you guys about is June's little brother is named Mason. Marley's little sister is named Melina, and then Max's little sister is named Vivian. And I also have Max's mom on here. I don't know why I thought she was more important than the other character's mom. Her name's Danae Loudy. Journey. We don't need to go through that. This part is the part I wanted to go through. Beginning. The meaning of title: Meadowbrook Springs is the setting. The first line of the book is, "You always know you're going to leave your childhood home someday. I sure did, but not in the summer before my senior year." That's the first thing. The first image is June packing up the remainder of her room. And the first impression of June, I put negative, but in an understandable teenager way. And I don't know if you know what that means, but it's like, she's negative about the situation, but if I was in the situation, I'd probably feel the same way as her. The next thing I want to do is print out pictures that go with certain places, and then write about what will happen in those places. So let's do that. I'll print out the pictures and I'll paste them on, and then I'll come back to you guys when I'm writing about what's happening in those scenes. So I kind of lied about what I was going to do on this page. Also, it's the next day, so you can tell that I'm just like not very consistent. I just did another sort of plotting page. If you guys want a better description of the book, here's one. It says, a teenage girl named June is moving away from home this summer before her senior year to go to New York and fulfill her mother's childhood dream in Meadowbrook Springs, a small town 3 hours away from New York City. They will live in a quaint farmhouse next to her mom's best friend Danae and her bratty kids. So that's kind of the premise. But yeah, I think that's the last page I'm going to do in the notebook. Now I have to stop the camera without you guys seeing the thing entitled Plot Twists. Don't mind my hair, it's still drying and it's got a claw clip in it. I wish I could set up this camera somehow better. But honestly, like, I love doing this whole, like, plotting thing. It reminds me of when I was just a mere 13 or 14-year-old and plotting out my first book. And I don't know, it's bringing back a lot of memories. I've been putting on, like, YouTubers on the TV that are also plotting books, and it's just so much fun. I do want to try to do some more character work, but I want to do another website to design the characters, and I think I might have found one. We'll see. Because I do love Artbreeder. Artbreeder is very nice. They have very cute people that you can do, but to be honest, like, my characters still don't look like the characters that they're supposed to be. Like June, this is June. She's supposed to have super curly hair, and you can kind of see it. And like, I think in her picture, her eyes are blue, and her eyes are not blue. So like, Artbreeder's hard because you don't get to choose features. It's more of like a genealogical sort of thing, so you like mix together the genes of other people, and you just kind of hope that it comes out the way you want it to. So it's not the most appealing, best website for character design. So I'm going to try to find a different website to do that on, and then I'll take you guys with me on more character work. I could not find, oh my gosh, my computer screen's dirty. I never realized until I put it on the camera how many things get stuck to my computer screen. Anyways, I did not find a better website to design characters on than Artbreeder. I can show you guys how it works, but here is June in this little document. These two I made on Artbreeder. This was like kind of my first draft, and this is when I tried to kind of refine her and make her look more like the character. And then I put this here because that's what her hair's supposed to look like, but in Artbreeder you can't really get the pictures perfect, so I had to kind of you know, just show an example because I could not get her hair to look like that. But also, it's still not accurate. Even this one, like, she has greener eyes than that. Like, her eyes are supposed to be really green. Her lips are kind of thin. She's got freckles. Like, she does not really look like this, but it's okay. Like, you get kind of an example, and I mean, it's cool to just mess around with it. I'll show you Max, her love interest. Here is Maxwell Loudy, or Max Loudy. He is the love interest. This was his sort of first draft, and this is the final draft that I ended up with. He still doesn't really look correct. He's supposed to have green eyes and glasses and freckles, and I couldn't really get it to show up that way. Also, his hair's supposed to be more like golden blonde instead of platinum blonde, but yeah, I didn't put any other external images for him. He's just there. This one doesn't really look like him at all. I added it because it was part of the process, though, that you guys would want to see. But I'll show you how to use Artbreeder now if you want to watch. I've seen so many videos on Artbreeder, and a lot of them, like, I just don't really do what they do. A lot of people do theirs from scratch, or they'll do the thing where you like twist the little knobs and they'll change the genes. But there's so much easier of a way to do it that I like to do. I like to go to the splicer. It's already set on portraits. Keep it on portraits. Press new image. You have like this thing here. It shows just some random people, but obviously none of these people look like the character I'm making. I'm going to make Marley just as an example. So we add parent. I always like to go to all tags, and then I just search whatever gene I want. So like for her, I'll search ginger hair. Like ginger, because she's got kind of a reddish hair. Then I go through here and I see which one kind of portrays that the way I want it to look. Kind of like more, I'd say like this, sort of. Choose whichever one looks the most like what I was thinking. I'll say her. I put it there. And then I'll do another parent. So like, I'm also going to do like, let's put long hair, which that one's kind of a gene I don't normally put on here, but I don't want her hair to be super ginger. I want it to be kind of a mixture. Let's do, sorry, it's really hard to hold the camera and also do this. And the case on this is broken and it's digging into my finger. So like whichever one I think looks the most like Marley, I'd say probably this one. I'll put it there. Just keep doing this until you have all the genes you want. I'll come back and show you the rest. Okay, so I sort of like looked up all the genes I wanted. I put them all up here, kind of messed around with certain things and put them all right here. And then we'll press generate. There we go. So it shows you some. You can also do this to where you can change it manually. Like, oh, I want her to have browner hair. I'm going to put it here. I don't personally like doing those things, so I reset it. Now you could leave it just like this, and that would be like the normal person thing to do, but I personally like to choose whichever one I think looks the most like my character. I think it's this one. Press that check mark, and then I come down here and I press this. It doesn't show anything on my screen, but it'll show kind of like the family tree of how all the characters were made, and then mine. And I'll press remix and splicer, and we're basically doing the same thing again. So now I'll take this image and anything like I feel like her hair should be more ginger, so I'll come back into here and I'll choose ginger again, and I'll come through and I'll just kind of tweak it a little bit, and you can add parents and it'll slowly start changing it until you have something that you kind of like. So I actually kind of like, where did it go? There was a girl that I saw that I liked. This one. So if I add her, it'll kind of mix them together and make a character. So I'll show you what she ends up looking like at the end. So in the end, even though it's not perfect, this is the final image and form that I have chosen for Marley to look like. And though that's not really how I imagined her in my head, that's how Artbreeder can portray her to the rest of the world. Here is Marley's character sheet. It just kind of typed this up after I generated the picture. I love Marley personally. She's probably like, I don't know, I feel like I can't choose a favorite character for this novel. I love them all so much. They all are so connected to me in so many different ways. But yes, here is Marley. She's so cutie. So I've showed you the main character, June. I've shown you Max, Marley, Murray, all of them. I don't want to fill out full character sheets for the rest of the characters, like the secondary characters, but I do want to make them on Artbreeder. So I'm going to go ahead and make the family members on Artbreeder, and I'll come back and I'll kind of show you. I don't know, it's really hard because a lot of the secondary characters are 9 years old, which is going to be really hard to make on Artbreeder, a 9-year-old little kid. But we're going to try anyways. We'll see what happens. I have half of the main secondary characters done. Don't know if you can see them. I have Haley Pham on the TV. I haven't moved for about 2 hours. I'm going to do the rest of them, then we can get into outlining, which I've already done most of, and I just didn't do it on this video, but that'll be a fun part, for me at least. I have finished making all of the secondary characters, at least the main secondaries. So now we can, whoa, what is on my fingers? Oh, it's just makeup. It looks a lot worse in this light. So now we can actually do the outlining, which is the part that I've already started and have been putting off this whole vlog. Let's get into it. It's 10:50 and I'm in bed, and unfortunately my lights are broken to the point where they don't go any brighter than this. So I'm gonna just hope that you guys can see when I start outlining on the computer. It is a few days later. I look absolutely whack, but what else is new on this channel? It's nighttime, that's why the lighting is kind of weird. I have finally finished plotting. I'm so excited, which means the next step is to just start writing. A lot of people do different things in between, but I don't really. I just kind of plot and then I write. So it's time to write, and I'm absolutely ecstatic because this is probably like the longest time a book idea has been in my mind before writing it and making it into a reality. Like 2020 is when I first had the idea for this book. So that's absolutely insane. I'm really excited. I'm gonna start writing, I guess, and that'll be really fun. Just finished writing the first chapter of Meadowbrook Spring, and I'm so excited, and I'm so happy that you are coming on this journey with me. I hope you are going to enjoy all the content about this book. I'm genuinely so excited for it. Thank you guys. I love you guys. Goodbye.